The Natural Superiority of the Left-Hander by James T. DeKay, by the author of the Left-Handed Book. Ooh. Wow. It's a mirror effect. Copyright 1979. Wow. Dedicated to the citizens of Left Hand, West Virginia. Population 450, and every one a left-hander. One person in 10 is a left-hander, and every last one of them thinks he's sort of special. Which is probably true. No kidding. Anywhere you look, left-handedness is something of a rarity. Even most plants are right-handed. Honeysuckle is one of the few climbing plants that twines to the left. Most flatfish lie down on their left side. This makes them right-handed. The Pacific sand dab is one of the few that lies down on the other side. This makes it left-handed, or rather left-finned. There are even a few seashells that curve left-handedly. They are prized by collectors. Lobsters are sometimes left-handed. It could be that the only case where left-handers are in the majority is among gorillas. Their left arms outweigh their right, which may indicate a slight left-handed bias, but that's only speculation. As far as humans are concerned, there's evidence that the very first member of the species was left-handed. In the early days, as we know from cave drawings, there were plenty of right-handers, but there were plenty of left-handers too. Things were fine for left-handers up through the Stone Age. Look at this nice left-handed hammer I found. But with the Bronze Age came manufacturing. And since most people were right-handed, that's the way they made the tools. To this day, no one has ever made a left-handed sickle. Right-handed lance support. Shoulder skirt protects non-functional left arm. Interesting. By the Middle Ages, left-handers were out in the cold. Even suits of armor were invariably right-handed. That long ago bias against left-handers is still with us. Bus coin boxes are right-handed. Oh yeah, they are, huh? And so are phonograph tone arms. Not my Fats Waller 78s. Yep. Turns the wrong way. Winds the wrong way. Cuts the wrong way. Bends the wrong way. It's enough to make left-handers a little paranoid. Even carousels are right-handed. You can't reach for the brass ring with your left hand. today about the only thing that actually favors left-handers is the toll booth. It's because we drive on the left side. Of course, if you are a rich or important left-hander, you can ignore all the prejudice. For instance, it never bothered Ramses II, who is always shown as left-handed. Giddy up, Osiris. We've still got a chance to head him off at the Red Sea. And Ben Franklin actually gloried in his left-handedness. He wrote and published a treatise in the favor of the left hand. There have been 5 left-handed presidents, 4 of them in the last half of the 20th century. Could this be a trend? You were expecting a bus. So we had James Garfield, and I used to babysit his great descendants, or great. I don't know how many greats there were, but I babysat the Garfield descendant, her children, and they had a big picture of James Garfield in their home, riding a horse in the White House. Harry Truman, Gerald Ford, George Bush, I guess that would be Senior, and Bill Clinton. In 1992, all 3 major candidates for president were left-handed. Could this be the end of equal rights? So we had Clinton, Perot, Bush, Clinton, Perot. Jimi Hendrix was neither rich nor important, but he became both by beating right-handers at their own game. He restrung his guitar so he could play it left-handed. He was a wizard. In sports, there is often an advantage in left-handedness. This is particularly true in baseball, which may explain why right-handed players are often ambivalent about left-handers. Southpaws really are weird. Used to be the Brooklyn Dodgers. In golf, left-handed Ben Hogan played right-handed because he was told the greater strength in his leading arm would improve his stroke. Years later, he regretted switching. Swimming also favors left-handers. Neurologists have shown they adjust more readily to underwater vision. Mark Spitz, who won 7 Olympic medals, is, as you might expect, left-handed. There's all his medals. But polo is another story. It's actually against the rules to play left-handed. And that even goes for the left-handed Prince of Wales. I'll tell Mummy. For some reason, not quite clear, left-handers make fantastic tennis players. At any given time, about 40% of the top pros are left-handed. People like Rod Laver, Jimmy Connors, John McEnroe, Guillermo Villas, Martina Navratilova, etc. Sporting footnote. In 1890, the baseball diamond in Chicago was sited to protect the batters from the late afternoon sun. In consequence, the pitcher faced west, and if he was left-handed, he was known as a southpaw. Where does left-handedness come from? Is it inherited? Maybe. But can something as rigorously right-handed as the DNA helix actually transmit left-handedness? That is a great question. Here's your ancestry bloodline, the DNA. Symbolic. Okay, we know that if both parents are left-handed, 50% of kids will be left-handed too. But if both parents are right-handed, only 2% of the kids will be left-handed. Handedness is genetic. It comes from Scotland's Kerr family. For centuries, the Kerrs have been famous for the large number of left-handers they produce. They even gave their castles left-handed staircases so they'd be easy to defend. At one time, American Indians may have been the world's largest single population of left-handers. There's evidence that 1 in 3 was left-handed. The Incas thought left-handedness was lucky. One of their great chiefs was Loque Yupanqui, which means left-handed. There's a high incidence of left-handedness in twins, but it's rare to find both left-handed. There are more left-handed boys than girls, but no one knows why. Older mothers are more likely to produce left-handed children than younger mothers. Lefty? Hell, they're all called that. Which one you want? Big lefty, little lefty, fat lefty, skinny lefty. Some experts claim they can spot a left-hander in infancy. The whirl of their hair, it is said, will twist counterclockwise. Virtually all pediatricians will agree that if a child has a preference for left hand, it will show up by age 5. The New England Journal of Medicine suggests you can tell if you're left-handed if the base of your left thumbnail is wider and squarer than your right. Wider and squarer than the right. That might be a myth, who knows? Another researcher, Theodore Blau, has a different test. Using each hand in turn, draw X's, then circle them. If you draw the circles counterclockwise, you're left-handed, he says. So it'd be like this. I don't know. But at least one authority takes it beyond the question of which hand you use. Handedness may be more a matter of sidedness of hand, foot, and eye and body. Dr. Samuel Johnson, who was probably a closet left-hander, seems to agree. He was spooked by left-footedness. To enter the house with the left foot brings down evil on the inmates. Psychologists are fascinated with left-handers. They're constantly studying them and coming up with reasons not to be left-handed. Can't they do anything right. For example, recent studies by psychologist Theodore Blau, he of the counterclockwise circles, show left-handers to be stubborn, oversensitive, impulsive, and embarrassing to the family. Oh my goodness. Of course, this kind of data cuts both ways. Left-hander Joan of Arc was certainly impulsive, but that's how she won battles. And although Billy the Kid was almost assuredly one of those left-handers who embarrassed his family, he is also without doubt the stuff of legend. Blau goes on to find that left-handers have difficulty following directions, go pick up your room, and have trouble completing projects. All done. Not quite. They're also likely to have speech problems. Unaccustomed as I am to public spanking. And to top it all off, Blau claims that bedwetting among left-handers is likely to continue beyond the age of 3. Another psychologist named Blau, Abram Blau this time, decided that left-handers were just plain antisocial and deliberately used the wrong hand just to make a mess and raise a little hell. This suggestion of left-handed deviltry harks back thousands of years to the time we started throwing salt over our left shoulders to propitiate the fiends who always lurk, and of course to the left. Yeah, you don't throw it over the right. Even good old Dr. Spock, who usually recommends you let your kid do almost anything, suggests you discourage left-handedness in young children. But maybe the final and wisest medical opinion on the subject comes from neurosurgeon Joseph Bogan. Right-handers are a bunch of chocolate soldiers. If you've seen one, you've seen them all. But left-handers are something else again. Well, at least everyone agrees left-handers are special. But are they specially good or specially bad? To find out, we must enter a very strange world, the world of the human brain. A shadowy place of surprises and contradictions. Only partially mapped and imperfectly understood, but we know it holds the key to the secret of left-handedness. Looks like the right cerebral hemisphere to me. Either that or, okay, sex. Oh boy. The brain is made up of 2 very different hemispheres. We need both, but for different reasons. Since each has its own functions. I'm the brain that does the talking. I do the looking. Its own personality. I think and plan and deduce. I groove, baby. Its own specialties. I sing the words. I sing the tune. And most significantly, in reference to the subject under consideration, its own hand. I'm right-handed. I'm left-handed. form. This is a good book. Hey, I'm in charge here. It stands to reason I'm the responsible one, because they have such different points of view. Why don't you blow it out your nose? Oh boy. The thinking and feeling hemispheres compete for dominance. Generally speaking, people with a dominant thinking brain become right-handed. It seems only reasonable. While those with a dominant feeling brain become left-handed, I'm absolutely overcome. You might expect a right-hander to be verbal, analytical, and good at math. So I unload United Federal in a short position while recognizing that Amalgamated could cross-rough my ID before Uncle Sam got his greedy mitts on it. Oh, I have no idea what that is. And a left-hander to be intuitive and mystical with a strong virtual sense. That's the third time today Cawthorn's worn green silks, which is exactly the case. In politics, maybe this is why cold, heartless conservatives are called right-wingers, and why dreamy, bleeding heart liberals are called left-wingers. A lot of hard evidence. Wait, but what does that make ambidextrous people then? A lot of hard evidence shows that most left-handers, because they are dominated by a different kind of brain, are distinctly different kind of people. Hey, I've got a half a mind to write a symphony. They literally think differently even when solving the same problem as a right-hander. Right-handers adapt comfortably to abstractions. 2 + 2 = 4. But left-handers tend to translate everything into visual imagery. 2 + 2 = 2 boxes plus 2 more boxes equals 4 boxes. Interesting. Right-handers tend to think linearly, linking their ideas in logical order, and therefore, my lord, whereas the party of the first part. Left-handers are more apt to think holistically, skipping over details. Let's string them up. Which explains why so many creative people have been left-handed. H.G. Wells. Oh, wow. Pablo Picasso, Edward R. Murrow, Leonardo, Anthony Newley, Michelangelo, Robert Surley, Murray Skirmick, Paul Williams, Peter Benchley, Jim Bishop, Milton Caniff, Paul Kless. Oh, I'm sorry. What is that? Paul Klee. Better lighting. Hans Holbein and Clarence Darrow. And why left-handers seem almost to dominate show business. Greta Garbo, Charlie Chaplin, Marcel Marceau, Telly Savalas, Marilyn Monroe. I didn't know she was a left-hander. Glenn Campbell, Richard Pryor, George Burns. I love George Burns. Rex Harrison, Jim Henson. He did the Muppets. Robert De Niro, Michael Landon, Lenny Bruce, Shirley MacLaine. Wow. And perhaps most interesting of all, it helps explain one of the more intriguing statistics of the space age. When NASA went searching for the kind of imaginative, super reliable, multi-talented people they would need to explore the moon. One out of every 4 Apollo astronauts turned out to be left-handed, a figure of 250% greater than statistical probability. Something's not right here. Far from being society's misfits, data like this suggests that left-handers are almost a different species. Who knows, maybe they're the next step up in evolution. In any case, we now know why left-handers have always believed they were special. In their hearts, they know they're right. Good play on words. The end. I got this book a long time ago.